Good afternoon, guys. We're going to finish going through your notes from the other day. So I'll probably finish page 69 today. We'll get into page 70 tomorrow. Just make sure that you are following along. The biggest thing is to make sure that you're pacing yourself. It shouldn't take you more than maybe 20-30 minutes a day, depending on how much you're choosing to get done. Listen to this video going over your notes, the video filling in your IDs to find your terms and do your questions, and then move on to a page in your packet. So really 20-30 minutes a day is what you're looking at, unless you choose to do more. If you choose to do more, that is completely up to you, but I just don't want anybody feeling overwhelmed. I know it's a lot going on right now. So we're going to finish going over the notes, and I am planning on doing a Zoom video tomorrow. I think most everybody has said about 3 o'clock would be the best. And if you don't get a chance to listen in, then I'll make sure that I record it and I'll share it with everybody. So I'm going to finish going over the page of notes on page 69. So yesterday we started talking about how everything's going in Europe. We said that Hitler is trying to move to all surrounding areas and start taking back what was originally lost after World War I. Now, Hitler's going to start making a lot of mistakes, and one of the mistakes that he makes pretty early on is that he meets with Stalin and comes up with the non-aggression treaty of 1939, to where they basically agree, because I told you yesterday that Stalin is kind of doing his own plan, like he's taking advantage of the situation and looking at taking property and establishing his own concentration camps and doing his own purges and things like that, kind of behind closed doors. So they create the non-aggression treaty, basically saying that they're going to both agree to divide Poland, and Hitler has the intention of not sharing. Dividing, yes, not sharing. So when Hitler comes in, nobody thinks nothing of it because of the treaty, but then he brings in his military and pretty much takes over the whole country in a week or a couple weeks. I think it's either 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And so as soon as German forces move in and they attempt to take all of Poland, that's when Stalin and the Soviet Union realize that they're not looking to follow the treaty, and war is going to be officially declared. All right, moving on. So you're going to need to learn some German. One of your German words is Blitzkrieg, and it tells you at the top of your page that Blitzkrieg, a short definition, is lightning warfare, and this is talking about how fast the German army is going to move, how fast they're going to move in and try and take over, because if you hit your enemy hard and fast, you're going to kind of take them by surprise. They're not really expecting it. They're not able to move around and do what needs to be done that fast. So it's kind of a way to catch them off guard. So because the German army has been secretly preparing for a while, they're ready to strike and strike fast. So they move in using heavy artillery. This gets into talking about new pieces of technology. We're going to be using tanks again. We're going to be using trench warfare again. Again, your notes tell you that they took over Poland in 3 weeks. Then we have what we call the Pone War, to where German forces are dividing themselves. So we're going to see an Eastern Front going against Russia after they take Poland. We are going to see a Western Front as they go after France. And France is not ready for how fast that they're about to move. So the Pone War is talking about a stalemate against the French forces and the German forces. You see the French forces they are holding what they call the Maginot Line, and the German forces are holding what they call the Siegfried Line. So you have both forces, but again, the French don't realize how fast the Germans are moving. They don't move their troops fast enough. The Germans are able to move in and pretty much take over, and they start basically kicking butt and taking names. And believe it or not, Germany is able to move in, and France will fall, and I believe, yeah, it's on your notes. France falls and surrenders June of 1940. That's how fast they're moving. All this began in September of 1939. 1939, not even a year later, we're not even a year in, before not only has the war started, but also we have seen a major ally fall. So France falls. That's a big one. It's like, what? And I think everybody realizes at that point in time that Germany is not playing, that Germany has built up its military, obviously behind closed doors. Nobody was aware of what was going on, and they weren't supposed to. Again, think about the Treaty of Versailles. So anyway, as soon as that happens, as soon as Hitler goes after, and before they even finish with France, they're going through Denmark and Belgium and Norway, and they're taking all these territories, and again, it's happening so fast. Nobody's aware until it's almost like it's over before it even gets started. So again, the invasion of France happens. France surrenders June of 1940. This is when we have the mass evacuation at Dunkirk, to where Allied forces, British troops, and even some of the French forces are trying to get out of Europe. And we see an evacuation of 360,000. So if you can imagine, and they're all on the beaches of Dunkirk trying to get across the English Channel. They're basically sitting ducks for airplanes and the Germans that are on the tops of the dunes shooting down at them. So it's a pretty bad situation. It's mass chaos. The British have decided to evacuate their troops to kind of regroup, because they realize that they're going to be the next target now that France has surrendered. All right, now, last couple of things on this. The last thing for today is the Battle of Britain. So I just said the British are going to be the next big target because, again, Germany is going after Russia, France, and Great Britain, the big three powers in Europe. So here's what happens. Germany never launches a land invasion, and some would say that maybe that was their downfall, that maybe they should have. So it was only an air invasion, was only using airplanes. Airplanes do have better technology. Speaking of better technology, make sure you make yourself a note of this, that radar is the new piece of technology. So you have the German Air Force, known as the Luftwaffe, and you have the Royal Air Force, well, British Air Force, Royal Air Force. Sorry, I kind of ruined that for you. But I do want you to make yourself a note that thanks to radar, that the British Air Force, which were actually outnumbered, were still, because of new technology, were able to hold off the Germans. Again, they never launched a land invasion. The Battle of Britain is successful. Obviously, there's a lot of damage that's going to be done, a lot of destruction, a lot of bombing damage. People are going and living in bomb shelters and basements, evacuating major cities. And Winston Churchill, who is the prime minister at that point in time, has a famous quote. That's why it's in there. He says, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed to so many by so few." And so he's like, looking at our small numbers, their small numbers of British soldiers, British Royal Air Forcemen, compared to saving their citizens from being taken over by the Germans, was pretty huge. And so you see, that the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. So you get to see in your PowerPoint slide, you get to see London on fire. Of course, it's the capital, it's the major city. So they're going after that, and so a lot of buildings are destroyed through bombings. All right, that is it for today. Tomorrow we'll get into another page of notes, but I might go ahead and post it today so you can go ahead and get into it if you want to. All right, bye guys.